further ado, I want to welcome you to HSP TV episode number 70. And it's about why do people hurt other people? So let me ask you this. Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed by life and maybe feel totally alone and misunderstood? And do you try really hard in relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, family relationships, only to find yourself asking, why have you hurt my feelings when I have done nothing to deserve it? Or maybe you feel like everybody is out to get you, that every single time you try to be nice, people hurt you. Maybe you think that people are not understanding you enough, that they do not know what does and doesn't hurt you. And do you sometimes wonder what that could mean? Maybe you are not clear about who you are, what you want and what you don't want, and what you accept and what you don't accept. And you are wondering, can I ever really stop always feeling hurt? If any of this is resonating with you, then I want you to know that I understand where you are coming from. Why? Because I have a heart for people who are broken. I was broken for many years, so I understand where people are coming from when they behave in certain ways. Hurt people hurt people. That's just a fact. Their reactions stem from past experiences that led them to certain beliefs that they accepted as truth. They are actually just preconceived ideas projected onto others to protect their ego. So now instead of taking it personally, I recognize it for what it is and I love the person anyway. When you know where people's reactions are coming from, it's much easier to not take it personally because it's really not about us at all. It's about them and what's inside them coming out and projecting onto us. So that's why in the next 20 to 30 minutes, I want to talk to you about why do people hurt other people? Why do people rewrite history? And why do we hurt the people that we love, the people that we are closest to? For those of you who do not know me, my name's Barbara, and I'm a transformation coach for people who have always felt weird or strange or like they don't fit into this world, but who have spent most of their life trying to please others and as a result feel unhappy and unsatisfied with their current reality. After working with me, they will feel proud and powerful. They will care less about what other people think or say. They live a life that is both rewarding and fulfilling, and they know exactly how to turn their calling into their soulful, profitable business that allows them the freedom that they desire. I help you to be free, to be who you want to be, so that you can do what you love doing the most by getting a crystal clear vision on what's really important to you in life. And then I'm giving you a step-by-step plan on how to turn that vision into your current reality. So let's get started. The one thing I just don't get about people is why they sometimes go out of their way to hurt someone else. Spending your time, your energy, and sometimes even your money to make someone else uncomfortable or miserable is just plain sadistic, as well as a waste of a valuable thing, the most valuable thing that you have, which are the precious minutes of your life. And unfortunately, I see this a lot in broken relationships, especially in broken love relationships. And even more unfortunately, I recently had to go through this. Some people make going after their ex for anything and everything a passionate hobby. And I see them twisting facts and events into truths that suit their attack and that are in fact not true at all. That completely rewrite history in the process with the seemingly sole purpose of making history congruent with the fiction that they have created in their heads so that they can feel okay with what they are doing and the fact that they are hurting the other person with their actions while retaining the illusion that they have nothing to feel guilty about. I cannot count the number of people who have, sometimes even years later, regretted this behavior. And there's a good reason for that. In many cases, this kind of negative energy pushes away other people, including children, if they are involved. So you might be thinking, okay, Barbara, I get it. I've experienced the same. But why do people do this? Why do people twist the facts to suit their story? Well, to understand that, you first need to understand what rewriting history really means. Rewriting history is when someone recounts certain events, but they spin or twist the facts around, usually so that they become the victim of the story instead of having any fault in it. And the more times they tell the story, the truer the twisted version of the story becomes to them. And eventually, they are telling a story very different from the original events, and they seem to truly believe on some level that that is how it actually happened. And if you are in a relationship with someone who rewrites history, this kind of behavior can make you feel like you're crazy. I'm sure this would fall under the heading of gaslighting, which is manipulation of facts in such a way that makes you question your own version. Furthermore, it is impossible to argue with someone who has rewritten history because they have come to believe their version, and who wouldn't want to believe the version where their behavior was better than everybody else's. Okay, Barbara, you might be thinking, but that still doesn't explain why they are doing this. Well, as sadistic as it sounds, I still have a hard time believing that the majority of people who rewrite history do it consciously or deliberately. It is actually just a coping mechanism that they have learned, and it works to get the spotlight of their bad behavior. This is a result of toxic shame. And that's a very powerful issue that cuts deep into our cores and that tells us horrible messages about ourselves, such as that we are not good enough, that we aren't lovable, or that we are downright bad. Shame-based people have a hard time separating their behavior from their identity. So when they are doing things like rewriting history, they are basically scrambling to find a way to make their behavior not seem so bad, so that they themselves won't seem so bad. They're just trying to avoid their own pain. Okay, Barbara, you might think, I get that, but what should I do when this happens? Well, if you are in a relationship with someone who rewrites history, the best course of action is to call them out on it, but in a calm and understanding, and if you can, loving way. This will likely still cause some pretty heated arguments, but the worst thing you can do is to just roll your eyes and ignore what they're saying. That allows them to continue rewriting history and cementing their twisted facts as truth, and they never have to face their own issues. You can just expect the problem to get worse. Okay, Barbara, I get that. But what if I am the one that's rewriting the history? What then? Glad you asked. If you are someone who realizes that you are the one that's rewriting history, then first of all, good for you for being open to hearing that you are doing this, for acknowledging to yourself that you are doing this. That's the hardest part. Secondly, you need to do some work on your shame so that you can face the truth when necessary. We all have bad behaviors at times. And doing your shame work allows you to begin owning your bad behavior without the feelings of anxiety and worthlessness that used to come with it. And this is one of the best gifts that you can not only give to yourself, but also to your loved ones. So if you recognize this going on in your life, give me a call. I recognize that, and you should also recognize that this is just only half of the battle. I have a lot of experience working with these types of issues, and I just love to help you have a happier, healthier, and fuller life. Okay, Barbara, so now I understand why they are rewriting history, but I still don't understand how they can hurt the person that they say they love? Well, I think it's impossible to go through life without causing hurt to the people that you love. We may have to do this for their own good, for instance, when we need to be firm with a child who we believe is engaged in destructive behaviors. We may inflict pain on another person when we need to do what is right for us, such as leaving a relationship. And most of us feel bad about inflicting hurt and might stay in situations way too long for fear of hurting our loved ones. But some people go through life causing a great deal of hurt to other people, including romantic partners and sometimes even their own children. And they might fall under the label of narcissistic or borderline personality types. But putting the labels aside for a bit, why do people repeatedly hurt other people in this way? Well, one of the reasons could be that they have low empathy. Some people have low empathy for others. They have a hard time walking in somebody else's shoes and they cannot see other people's perspectives. They're actually unaware of the hurt that they cause other people and they don't know it's thoughtless not to follow up a call regarding a sick relative or that being flaky when it comes to meeting up causes deep hurt. Things that might hurt you might not hurt them. And they have a hard time identifying with alternate experiences, meaning things they don't experience themselves. So when you're on the receiving end of this with someone close, it can be unbelievably frustrating. I know. But the good news is that if it really comes down to the lack of understanding instead of maliciousness, and your partner is willing to change, you can work on ways to improve your communication and set ground rules for what is and what is not acceptable behavior on their part. Another reason could be self-dislike. When people don't like themselves, no matter how good of a front they put on, they are likely to project this self-dislike onto others. Particularly if this self-dislike stems from abusive behavior which they have experienced in their own past. They will engage in hurtful behaviors towards those people they love, replicating their own lived experiences. They may be driven by a desire to hurt you in the same way that they have been hurt, to bring you down and cause you pain in the same ways that they have experienced it. And the sad thing here is that they often don't even realize that they are doing this. Oftentimes, it's not even a conscious process, meaning more often than not, they are not even consciously aware of their desire to hurt others as they've been hurt too. And if you're someone who is driven to cause hurt because of self-dislike, and you want to stay with that other person, then they must get help for their own issues. You must get help for your own issues. And if they or you don't get this help, then you'll keep on repeating the same patterns. They'll keep on repeating the same patterns. Another reason could be low self-esteem. When people place a low value on themselves, which essentially is what low self-esteem is, they may be unaware of how hurtful their actions are to other people. Let's say it's your turn to host your mother for Christmas, and it's really important to you and to your family to do so. Your mother, however, doesn't value herself and doesn't know how important it is, so she makes arrangements to visit your sister or your brother for the third time in a row. Your mother's low self-esteem means that she has a very different perspective from you on how important her presence is. And it causes you deep hurt in the process because you feel like they favor your brother or your sister by going to them for the third time in a row. And they don't see it that way. So if you suspect that your loved one doesn't place a high value on themselves, you can at least demonstrate to them how important they are to you. Don't assume that they know that, but be aware They might not believe you when you tell them how beautiful a person they are and how important they are to you. But don't let that discourage you from showing and telling them anyway. Another reason why people hurt the people they love could be that they have an agenda. Often people hurt others unintentionally, but sometimes people deliberately set out to hurt others. So if your partner puts you down in front of others, it may make them feel superior. If they criticize you, call you names, or put down your achievements, it may make them feel like they have power within the relationship. He or she may want you to be in a weakened position so that he or she can become dominant within the relationship and create a power imbalance which is in their favor. Hurting others can be a part of a strategy to weaken you. So if you become aware that your partner is engaging in these types of behaviors, it is important to raise these issues with your partner and to ask them to seek help. And you should also seek help for yourself. And you may even have to consider leaving the relationship. Another reason could be that they enjoy inflicting pain on others. Some people actually enjoy the process of hurting other people. Again, this usually stems from a deeply disturbed and potentially abusive childhood. They may be acting out things which have taken place in their own life, this time with them as the abuser, and they may experience a thrill from hurting you. Inflicting pain on you may be a distraction from their own pain, a way of getting even for things which have happened to them, and a way to feel something deeply in a way that makes sense to them given their past experiences. You often see that people who are a victim of sexual abuse go on to become a sexual abuser themselves, for instance. Tied in to gaining control and weakening you, inflicting hurt can also feel like a healing experience. So if you are in a relationship with someone like this, then your partner needs help, you need help, and you seriously need to consider leaving. I'm sorry to tell you this, but this is not a healthy relationship. Another reason could be that they were attracted to you because you are easily hurt. And I know this can be a hard pill to swallow, but we don't choose people by accident. Subconsciously, we choose people who fit in with our unconscious understanding of their world. And if your partner is someone who inflicts hurt on other people for all of the above reasons, they may have chosen you because they see you as someone who will respond appropriately to their behavior. Just as your partner might repeatedly attract people who he or she can hurt, you might be attracted to relationships in which you are hurt. If you grew up with a parent who was abusive towards you, whether that was emotionally or physically, you may be attracted to a partner who acts in the same way. Someone can only be hurtful to you if you're prepared to play your part. If you have a history of being in relationships where someone intentionally hurts you, you should seek help for your own issues. Nobody deserves to be in a relationship with someone who hurts them. And if their actions are coming from a place of low empathy or low self esteem, you may be able to work with them as long as they are accepting responsibility for their actions and are willing to change. Working with someone who enjoys inflicting pain and who hurts you as a means to gain control can be far more challenging, and you should ensure that you receive the help and support you need in making decisions about whether to remain in this type of situation, to remain in this type of relationship. I hope I was able to give you some insight as to why people hurt other people and why at times they feel the need to rewrite history in the process. However, if you want long-lasting relationships and are serious about attracting the right people into your life and finally having the relationships in your life that you desire, that inspire you, that spark you, that love you, that give you what you need, then I would strongly advise you to find a coach or a mentor like me, for instance, to help you work through your things, to work through your part. If you find yourself getting knocked off center regularly by different people and or situations, if you often feel hurt by the actions or behaviors of others towards you, or if you just feel lonely and empty and broken on the inside, then you and me, we seriously need to talk. Just think how less stressed and excited you will feel when you are able to connect with the people that really resonate with you and that treat you the way you should be treated. Can you imagine the sheer sense of relief and feelings of long lost happiness when I help you attract people in your life that are worthy of your friendship, worthy of your love? Just think for a moment how life can and will change for you when you have all the knowledge that you need to not take other people's rejections and history rewinding personally, but instead recognize them for what they are and being able to love the person anyway. If this resonates with you and if you are serious about changing your life and finally getting results that you truly want, then I want you to hop on a free discovery call with me. In this no strings attached call, we are going to get really clear on where you are now, where you want to be, what is preventing you from getting there, and what you need to do to get you towards that future. Click on the link below this video or send me a message in Messenger or WhatsApp, Telegram, Instagram. Just choose a way to connect with me and we'll get you set. I'll never forget the stressed and extremely unhappy life I led when I took rejections personally. And when I allowed those rejections to start me doubting my personal worth, when they made me feel shitty and horrible about myself to a point that I lost faith in myself and my own abilities. I wanted so much to just be loved and to be accepted and to fit in and to be part of something, of a family, of a group of friends, of a relationship. I wanted so much to understand why nobody seemed to want me. And it wasn't until I learned to see those rejections as saying something about the people rejecting me, instead of those rejections saying something about myself and my worth, that I no longer took those rejections personally and could still love that person despite them rejecting me. Now I know that their rejections can only hurt me if I allow them to hurt me. And then I know I have taken them personally instead of seeing them for what they really are. An expression of someone who is hurt themselves and unable to handle that in a different or better way. If I can see their rejection for what it really is, I don't have to be affected by it in a negative way. And this allows me to still love the person doing the rejection and to stay in my center of calm, to be loving and kind and compassionate. Sure, sometimes a rejection still hurts and it can really hurt deeply, especially when it is done by someone that you love deeply. But being able to see that rejection, in fact, has nothing to do with me, it allows me to stay in that state of love and compassion towards myself, but also towards that person and everybody else in my life. And that is what I want for you too. So click the link below this video, book that free call with me, and take that first step on the road to living that life that you absolutely love, that life that makes your heart sing. I hope that this 70th episode of HSP TV was valuable to you, and I hope that you learned something and that I was able to give you some new insights. And now is also the time for you to start asking me your questions. Come live in Zoom to ask me your questions, or ask your questions below the video in Facebook if you are catching this in a Facebook Live. And if you're catching this in a replay, then also ask me your questions by leaving me a comment below this video. I'm now going to look at Zoom and I'm going to see who is here and who asked me questions or shared some of their stories. And I see the wonderful Reshma being here today. Reshma, hi. Reshma says, narcissists do gaslighting. Yes, narcissists, sometimes also borderline personalities, sociopaths, and there are a lot of other cysts or paths that do the same thing. And she says, my ex-husband was a narcissist and did what you are talking about time and again. And unfortunately, I came to know he was only one after I got divorced. Yes, that sucks. That really sucks, because at the time you don't know why it is happening. And oftentimes we feel the need to explore if it is something that we are doing, if we are doing something wrong, or if we are attracting this to us and thinking, how can we change it? And why is this happening? And the fact is just, it's not you, it's not something you can change, it's not something you can do, it's them. And especially when you learn that afterwards, and sometimes you can wish that you knew that at the moment, so that maybe you would have handled things differently. But I believe that things happen for a reason, and we needed to go through such a period in order to learn things. And I had the same thing happen. I realized he was a narcissist within our relationship fairly near the end, and I kicked him out. But I had it with someone that I was in a relationship with that turned out to be an autist. And he also hurt me, but he didn't have any empathy, being an autist, and he couldn't put himself in my shoes. And I only learned that he was an autist after our relationship. And then I felt so bad, because if I had known before, I would have treated him differently. I would have done things differently. I would have not taken things so personal, because then I would have understood why he was incapable of doing what I am capable of doing. But we didn't know, and we had to do it with the information that we had. And yeah, that can suck, but that's life. So at least you know now. And she says, I think they only love themselves and are so self-centered that they care only for themselves. Yes, a narcissist's world revolves around themselves, but they are masters in disguise and playing a role. So narcissists can make them feel like you are the center of their world, like you are the center of their attention, by bringing you gifts and making compliments, writing you poems. And then you think, oh, they are so attentive and they are so caring and they are so loving. And then they lull you into this false sense of security. But that also is in light of their agenda, because if they treat you like a princess, then you think they are the king, and you put them on the pedestal. And that's what they want. They want to be put on the pedestal, they want to be worshipped, and they want your whole world to revolve around them. So the more you like them based on the actions that they are doing, the more you worship them, and the more they feel happy in their life, because, well, you're worshiping them, That's what narcissists do. And she says he would make a big deal about his experience and ignore mine, even though I was sitting right there. Example, my commute to work was longer and more stressful than his, but he would only spin a story about his. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. I was upset one day because we had date night. Once a week we did date night, just to spice up the relationship and to do something nice for each other, And the last two date nights that he was to organize, he forgot about it. And tonight was date night again. And he was late coming from work, and I was feeling sad because I already knew he had forgotten it again. And that was the third time in a row, and it just made me incredibly sad. And he came home and he saw me and he asked, why are you so sad? And at first I said, well, I had a shitty day, but we had nice plans for this evening, so just let it go and just focus on the nice things. And he was like, nice things? Were we going to do nice things tonight? what we were going to do tonight. And then, that was confirmation. He had forgotten about date night, and he had prepared nothing. He did nothing. And it came out. I told him that I had already suspected that he had forgotten about date night. It was the third time in a row. I was feeling very unappreciated and sad about it. And then he was like, and what do you think about me? And I've had a very long day, and I cannot keep up with these demands of you. And how can you expect this of me? And he totally turned it around. And then he started to cry in front of me, big baby tears. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was the one hurting here. I was the one feeling sad and crying, and now you're the one crying, and I'm actually comforting you. And that was the moment I realized, oh my God, what your mom told me, that you're a narcissist, it's true. I hadn't seen it before. That was the evening I found out. So I know all about them turning it around and then making it about them, and them being so pathetic, basically, that you start to pity them and comfort them, and then it's all about them again, and they feel happy again. So yes, you did leave. um, I did have to leave at the end after suffering for 12 years. I'm so glad and so happy for you that you managed to leave him. It would have been better for you, I think, if it had not been 12 years. But, things happen, and you were an incredibly strong woman, and you got away from him. And in order to heal yourself, I don't know if you still need to heal stuff about it, but for me, it really helped to know that it had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with how good I am or how bad I am or just anything about me. It has everything to do with them and how they are. And that allowed me to just eventually let it go and leave everything with them. And just put I want a stop, but it's not a stop. I just put like I don't even know how to call it, but the movement, just put this through it and then just throw it away and don't think about it again. And they don't deserve this attention, and they don't need to be remembered. She says, had I known he was a narcissist earlier, I would have left sooner for sure. Yes, but now you have narcissist radar. So you know exactly what a narcissist is, and you will recognize them much, much sooner. And before, I had never met a narcissist, and now being in a relationship with one, knowing what to look for, the signs, I recognize it much sooner in other people, and also the borderline people and the sociopath people and all the other ones you don't want to be in a relationship with. And I think, that's something to be proud of. You at least know what you don't want anymore in this life. So I'm going to check and see if maybe we have something on Facebook, somebody sharing something or somebody asking something. So let me go and see if that had happened. I do see I have live watchers. Hi, I'm so happy that you're here. I cannot see who you are, so it would be amazing if you just send me an emoji or a smiley, or, oh, that is an emoji, stupid me, or a hello or a wave or a heart or just a thumb. I don't care, just something to let me know that you're here, because I always like connecting with people that are here. That would be amazing. And if you have questions, just feel free to ask them. I won't bite, I promise. Reshma is still alive and she's here most weeks. I really don't bite. I also see people that are watching in the group, but nobody is really sharing something, which is also totally fine. But again, I can only see the eye with the number of people watching me right now, and I cannot see who you are. I see Linda. Linda is here. Hi, Linda. I'm so glad that you're here. And I saw that you responded. Oh, but I was to one of my other posts. Darn, I thought you were asking me a question. Okay, so I am not seeing any questions here in Facebook, but that doesn't mean that if you watch this in the replay, that you cannot still ask me your questions and I will still answer them. And if you have a topic that you would like me to talk about, then you can also let me know, because I need new inspiration for these HSP TV episodes. Reshma says, we are so trusting, so now we are skeptical about people and love. Yes, and that is also a pitfall to watch out for. We are open and we are pure and we are honest and we are kind and we are loving. And we kind of expect the rest of the world to be the same. And we kind of expect, maybe not even consciously, mostly subconsciously, but we expect the world to treat us the way we would treat the world. And oftentimes the world doesn't treat us in a way that we would treat them. People don't treat us the way we would treat them, and that can cause deep hurt. And if we are deeply hurt, then we tend to withdraw within ourselves. And we can either berate ourselves and think badly about ourselves and have what they did reflect badly on us, and think that we are a bad person or that we are not worthy of love or not worthy of friendship. And we start indeed believing everything that they are saying. That is one road we can go. The other road is that we can try and not let it affect us personally. See that they are people who have been hurt in the past before, because nobody is born a narcissist. A narcissist is somebody that has been made by somebody else. Usually they have had experiences, and I hate throwing everything on your past, but those are the formative years. From when we are born until, well, at least 10, those are the most formative years. And every bad thing that happens in our life just has a big influence on us. And it doesn't mean that you have to become a narcissist, because my childhood was extremely shitty. And I've had to go through a lot of things. And I'm not a narcissist. I'm not a sociopath. And I still treat people with love and kindness and compassion. So it is still a choice, but not everybody is as strong, and not everybody is as beautiful, and not everybody has the right mindset or the right tools or the right will or the right things to stay kind and loving and caring. So if you can recognize their behavior as being someone that has been hurt in the past and that just doesn't know a different way of expressing where they are now, what they are going through, putting it into words, and knowing that it has nothing to do with you, then you can still think of that person in a kind way, at least. Maybe not a loving way anymore, but at least in a kind way. And you can still wish them the best, and wish them a happy life, just not with you in it. So that was my take on why people hurt other people, why people sometimes rewrite history in hurting other people, or even when they're not hurting other people, why they rewrite history, and why people feel the need to hurt the people closest to them, because the people closest to them are usually the people that see right through their defenses. And if they don't want you to see through their defenses, they become increasingly hurtful just because they want you to leave, and not sway their minds or help them see things from a different side, because for some reason they need to be in this feeling of hurt, in this pain, because it's bringing them something, even though we are totally not clear on what it is that they're getting out of it. You know, just respect that this is the way their process works, and the way that they are expressing themselves. And you can acknowledge, yes, it sucks big time, but you know, I'm still wonderful, you're still amazing. And we are going to continue being wonderful and amazing, and being kind and loving and compassionate to everybody that we meet. And that's, I think, the best way to handle these types of situations. So if you were here live, then I thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story, for sharing your wisdom, and for, you know, being here and supporting me in my talks. And if you want to be here next time, then just hop on the Zoom call with me, and otherwise catch us in the replay on Facebook Live. For now, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. It could be a wonderful rest of your morning, it could be a wonderful rest of your afternoon, or it could be a wonderful rest of your evening, or maybe even night. And I hope to see you all again next week, 7 p.m. Central European Time, which would be, let me think, 1 p.m. I think Eastern time, and then that would mean like 11 Pacific time, I think. But don't get me wrong, it's definitely 7 p.m. Central Central European time, and you might do a time zone calculator to know in which time zone you are and what time it is for you. But I hope to see you all again next week. And I thank you for being here. I thank you for your wonderful love and support. And I'm going to see you all again next week. Bye for today.